Welcome, everyone, and thank you all for joining. My name is Levente Szabo, a Customer Success Manager here at Midori, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our webinar today about exporting Jira data to Excel. Excel exporting in Jira has been and continues to be a strongly debated topic among Jira users. Let me just real quick give you a historic background on Jira Excel exporting. Jira never had a real Excel export option. It used to have a built-in export option called quote-unquote Excel, but it actually exported an HTML file with the XLS file extension. The file contained an HTML table with the issued data, which Excel could successfully import in most cases. This approach had the same fundamental limitations as all the other tags-based data export options that don't produce a native Excel file. Namely, the data had no type, everything was text, dates were broken, numbers were broken, and even worse, you couldn't utilize Excel's powerful features like formulas, functions, charts, pivot tables, and such during the export. And as the import HTML feature was also a potential security hole in Excel, Microsoft decided to discourage that in modern Excel versions and started to display those annoying warning messages when someone tried to import files that were previously exported from Jira. And then later, Atlassian replaced the now useless HTML export with a newer approach that exports CSV files. CSV stands for comma separated values, and this is basically a simple plain text file that uses the comma character to separate pieces of data. And unfortunately, it still has the limitations that I just mentioned. So today I want to show you how you can create native Excel exports or reports from Jira issues so you can use the output to do your usual Excel wizardry. I'll introduce Better Excel plugin for this. I'll explain the first steps with the app, what kind of output you can have with it. And I will talk about administration, customization options, and finally we will see what other Jira apps can be used with Better Excel plugin. And before we kick things off, let me also mention a few housekeeping items. This presentation is recorded and will be available soon after. During the presentation, you can use the live chat feature to ask questions, or if you're watching the recording, please leave your questions as a comment below. We will tackle the questions at the end, or if we won't have time for all, please still submit them as comments, and we will collect all questions and answers and publish them as a blog post on our blog later on, so feel free to subscribe to that as well. First things first, let's get started with a little background on the Midori, the company behind Better Excel plugin, so you get to know us a little better. Midori is a long-time member of the Atlassian ecosystem. We've been around for more than 10 years, following Atlassian's journey, using their products, and also developing apps for them. We are also Atlassian verified. Verified, it's like a badge, and it's an official certificate that Atlassian gives to app vendors who live up to their high standards of software and support quality. It also means that we keep our apps compatible with the host applications like Confluence and Jira, and we issue maintenance releases and maintenance updates of our own apps whenever needed. Among our customers, we have companies from around the world and with all sizes, startups to globally recognized brands, many of them industry leaders. And now, what is Better Excel plugin and why should you choose it? First of all, it's an actively developed, maintained, and supported app for the last 4 years. It's highly appreciated by customers as well. It's one of the top rated apps for Jira and most mentioned among the reviews the flexibility, and the great support. Better Excel plugin is currently the most advanced option to export data from Jira and Jira Service Desk to native Excel files. It also handles data types correctly. So, for example, if you're exporting dates from Jira, those will show up as dates in Excel. And similarly for numbers or text. This makes the use of Excel data analysis tools possible. But it still doesn't mean that it's complicated to use. It was created with business users in mind. And I think this is one of the most important reasons behind it. And the typical use cases and report types are all covered with built-in templates. So you can just pick the right one and have your Excel downloaded. If something doesn't fit your liking, the export templates are all there to customize to align Excel reports with your business requirements. Okay, now let's see the agenda for today. What are we going to cover? First of all, I wanted to give you a quick comparison of the currently available choices that Jira provides for exporting information to Excel. I believe that this way you will have a better overview of the current situation and why Better Excel plugin is an outstanding player. We will then continue our agenda with the first thing that you probably want to do after installing the app, exporting a simple list of issues. Then we will see how to turn those issues into reports, and then we will clarify what the Excel views are and how you can use them, what the templates are and how you can use those, and we will look at APIs and other options for automating Excel exporting that will make your work faster and more efficient. And lastly, we will also look at integrations with other Jira apps. Okay, so let's look at, in summary, how Better Excel compares to the built-in CSV or Excel, or should I say HTML export that Jira currently has. Better Excel plugin exports real Excel files, as I already mentioned, in the XLSX file format, not something else. And XLSX is the de facto standard file format for spreadsheets. XLSX is an open and non-proprietary format, and it's supported by all major spreadsheet tools. It handles all data types correctly by separating the value of the data from the presentation of the data. It works correctly with numbers, allowing those be formatted as decimal numbers, currencies, percentages, and so on. So it also works correctly with dates in any time zone. It enables you to use Excel features like formulas, functions, pivot tables, and pivot charts. And Microsoft has been developing those features for decades, and we wanted to be sure that you can intuitively utilize those on Jira data as well. It enables you to export not only issues, but practically any information from Jira. It includes issue metadata such as comments, work logs, change history, or user accounts, Jira projects, data from third-party apps like Tempo or Insight or Zephyr, or more. Our motto is really that if any information is available in Jira, you can export that into Excel. You can work with Excel's non-tabular content features as well, like adding cell comments or adding worksheet headers. And I want to mention another kind of advantage that comes from ability of scripting. Not only you can run Visual Basic scripts when the output file is opened in Excel, but Better Excel lets you execute custom logic during the export with custom Groovy scripts. These can process data, collect data from additional sources like external databases or APIs, for example. And finally, it also allows you to flawlessly transfer Jira data to other spreadsheet programs like Google Sheets or OpenOffice. These features are all features that are not available or not fully available for you if you export data with Jira's CSV export or the deprecated HTML export. Okay, let's see how you can start using the app and export a list of issues to Excel. So if you pull up your Issue Navigator screen in Jira, you'll find that the export menu in the upper right corner is extended with additional options added by Better Excel plugin. As you are looking at the Issue Navigator, the export options appear on the existing user interface that you are familiar with. And that's intentional. We wanted to fit Excel exporting into the Jira interface as frictionlessly as possible. And these export menu options are also called Excel views, which is a technical name, and I will explain that in a few minutes. When you click these, all the issues currently in the Issue Navigator will be exported to an Excel spreadsheet. And it's not only the visible page, but all the issues the currently applied GAQL query has returned. Now this is how the exported issues will look for you in Excel, with the fields selected in the Issue Navigator. So just select your columns in Issue Navigator, and then the view will be basically recreated in Excel after a single click. Now notice here how the date type fields are formatted as date in Excel, and everything else is text in this example. Also note that the key and the summary columns are links to the original issues. This, as pretty much everything else, can be configured. So configurability and customization is a major design goal for the app. And finally, notice that there are no line breaks in the cells because the template automatically sized the columns to fit the content. And as a result, you will get an optimal layout immediately. And in addition to field values, you can export the meta information of the issues as well. So you can choose just a different template and export issues with their comments or work logs. Or you can decide to export the full change history to Excel. Needless to say that these additional columns are also using the correct data types. What's even more, you can use a template to export Jira user accounts and their information to Excel as well. Jira user account export is I think it's just a fine example of exporting non-issue related information from Jira with Better Excel plugin. The template for this comes with the app built in, so you can use this template right away. This example is this is useful for instance when you want to do like an overhaul of your Jira users and optimize the seats taken. By exporting Jira accounts and all their account information like active or inactive status or last login date and more, you can easily analyze it further, like filtering the results and make decisions about unused accounts. Or you can also use this to verify group memberships or failed login attempts maybe. Another frequently surfacing concern is language support. Text-based export formats like HTML or CSV are prone to encoding problems, which gets even worse if your teams are using different operating systems or multiple languages. You can use any language and any operating system. We have you covered. Better Excel plugin works with 100% Unicode internally. Therefore, it supports any language and character set just out of the box. And in addition to the data stored in Jira itself, Better Excel plugin can export data stored in third-party apps, like, for example, Enfeed, where you can get your inside custom fields exported. Or if you use Tempo timesheets, you can export those as well, or Zephyr. You can export the custom fields that are provided by a third-party app the same way as built-in custom fields. There's absolutely no difference from the user's point of view. And sometimes a list of issues is not just a simple list of issues. There are also a few typical contexts where you want to work with a list of issues, like agile boards, or service desk queues, or tempo timesheets, or other contexts. The good thing is that Better Excel plugin appears in these scenarios as well, adding the appropriate export menu option according to the context. And since you're getting a standard XLS file as export output, it also means that the file will be fully compatible with all popular spreadsheet software out there. When you're opening it with Google Sheets or OpenOffice or Numbers on Mac, it will just work. Okay, so far we only looked at simple issue exports that you wanted to start with, where all you wanted to do was to see the Jira issues with their custom and system fields in Excel. Now let's see how you can create Excel reports from Jira software or service desk issues. Better Excel plugin comes with built-in pivot report templates that help you create instant business reports. And what built-in means here, what I mean by built-in here, is that the pivot table is created automatically during the Excel export. When you open the exported Excel file, the pivot table is already there, so you don't have to create it yourself using the raw data. Once you got the Excel spreadsheet in your hands, you obviously can modify the created pivot table, select or unselect fields, and adjust the dimensions depending on what you want to analyze. And also you can choose to create a new pivot table since the export always contains the raw data as well. And as you probably guessed, the pivot chart is also created on another worksheet during the export to visualize and therefore make the exported data more understandable. Exactly as with pivot tables, as I mentioned, the pivot chart is created by the app and are readily available when you open the exported spreadsheet. Both the pivot table and the chart can be further customized then by turning on and off the fields you're interested in. And now let's see some quick examples of business reports that were created with Better Excel plugin. I'll not go into details of the specific reports, just wanted to demonstrate some typical examples of what is possible with the app. So for example, if you used our created versus resolved report template, you can get a chart like this and you can analyze the rate issues are being solved at, or the work logs. So you can have a clear picture on who worked on stuff and how long. Similarly, you can easily create a workflow report that tells you the effectiveness of your team by showing how much time does an issue type spend in a status. Better Excel also integrates with Jira software and handles the Jira software specific custom fields like epic, sprint, or story points. By choosing the Agile report template, you can get an epic status report like this that shows the sizes of the epics and also their current progress status. Or you could use the same template to compare sprint sizes or visualize which team member has the most story points allocated to them. These are just really examples of the different aspects that you can analyze with Better Excel plugin. Service Desk also has its own report template that you can utilize to get a clear picture of your support team's progress. Okay, and next up is Excel views. Excel views are really the export types or menu options that appear in the export drop-down menus. These are the elements of those export menus. They have their own names and positions in the menu. Then you can refine which export menus in which Jira screen should offer what view. So for example, a story card export may make a lot of sense in a Scrum board or an issue navigator, but not a lot in service desk. Each Excel view is linked to an Excel template. So you control what template, or in other words, what type of document should a view create. Here you can also reorder them, which order will be reflected in the export menus. And Excel views can be managed in the add-ons section of the Jira administration interface. You have a couple of options when you're editing an Excel view. First off, you can add it an intuitive and descriptive name. This is the name that will appear in the export drop-down menu. So here you're basically editing the menu options. Try keeping the name really short, concise, intuitive for your users. At the context section of the configuration screen, you can define the Jira context or the Jira screen where you want to export, want the export option to be visible. The description will only appear in the administration view as a quick reminder for you about the export, what the export option is for. Then you are defining the template that the view will use. And then finally, you can control the visibility of the view. So this is like a security option. You can hide a specific export option from users or groups that never need to use it, or allow the export type only for specific issues that you define by using the JQL. Now, I mentioned Excel templates a couple of times so far, so let's see what they're good for. The export templates are Excel files themselves too, so you can edit the templates directly in Excel and insert special placeholders to the cells, which will be replaced with the actual values during the export. We will show a couple of template examples later. If a template requires more complex business logic, like some calculation or loading information from an external database, then it can also be accompanied by a Groovy script, which does the heavy lifting. And while it doesn't hurt if you're familiar with code, basic changes in templates can still be made by anyone. There are parameters in the templates that are really easy to modify, and you can also download a reference manual. The reference manual is a collection of expressions that you can basically just copy and paste into your templates so you can work with them. If you want to know how to put the issue creator or like current status or number of votes into a template, you can use that as a cheat sheet. If you want to hear more in depth about templating in Better Excel though, let me know in the comments so we can reach out. If there is demand, maybe we can organize a separate webinar just on how to develop templates for Better Excel plugin. When you open up the Excel templates section, you find the list of your existing templates and scripts. It's important to know that you're not starting from scratch. Better Excel plugin will come with many built-in templates that are already there and you can use right away, like the reports I just showed you earlier. They cover the typical use cases as they are. So if those fit your use case, then you might not need to customize templates at all. But if you don't like something, you can customize the templates, obviously. If you have specific requirements, make a copy and customize the copy, and you can keep the original. The Excel templates, them being XLSX files themselves can be downloaded and edited directly in Excel on your computer. This is especially practical if you are making relatively minor changes to your templates just once in a while. If you're building a new template from scratch or making major modifications and you would like to continuously test your changes, you can use the so-called developer mode instead. Developer mode in Better Excel plugin lets you source your Excel templates and scripts from your file system. This way, there's no need to upload the template after every little change. You just save it locally and can export immediately. Developer mode was designed to accelerate developing templates and scripts. If you're interested in how to use it, there is a tutorial video about it on our Better Excel plugin YouTube playlist. I highly suggest you check it out. Now, here is a template file opened in Excel in the left and the export rendered from this template in the right. Cells in the template contain the expressions. Those are written in JAXL, the standard Java expression language. If you ever worked with any programming language, using expressions will be very familiar to you. But if you never had, they are very easy to understand. See the expression in cell A2 in the left, for example. Here, this means insert the key of the current issue to this cell in the output spreadsheet. And during the export, these expressions will be replaced with the actual data in Jira. If there are multiple issues to export, then those rows and cells will be automatically repeated. As you see here on the right, 4 issues to export cause the row 2 to appear 4 times in the output. And the key of the 4 issues were inserted in the cells in column A. In addition to JAXL expressions, you can use Excel formulas, Excel functions, and any other Excel feature in the cells. See, for example, the formula in D2 in the left, for example. This converts the time spent value in C2 from seconds to hours. Then see the output in the right. These are calculated using this formula. This is totally intuitive. The chart in the left also blank, because in the template there's no actual data. But as soon as the actual data arrives from Jira, the chart also starts to work to visualize the data. And finally, as you can see, the colors and cells, fonts, formatting are all kept without any change in the output. Editing experience here is basically Visivik in this sense. This approach, relying on expressions and formulas, really offers ultimate flexibility. I strongly suggest to check out the examples in the template gallery on our website, because those will get you an impression of what is really possible in a broader sense. I always highlight that with Better Excel plugin, you can take advantage of all the features that Excel has. And this also includes Visual Basic macros. By using VBA macros in your template, you can add dynamic behavior to your Excel spreadsheets. For example, you can update the sheet content every time the document is open, or display alert boxes for the user, or add form-based interactions. It's all possible. Okay, now let's take a look on options where that can take really some weight off of your shoulders by automating Excel generation. In the scenarios so far, I only mentioned situations where your users want to get an Excel export on a case-by-case basis, manually. The way they go about it is they open Jira in their browser, select the data to export, open the export menu, and create the Excel. This is probably the most common, but definitely not the only option to use Better Excel plugin. Since the beginning of building this app, we always wanted to integrate the capability of Excel exporting to Jira workflows and offer the types of automatic processes. As a result, today we offer multiple ways for integration. First, our Java API is a classic in-process interface that Better Excel plugin provides for any other program running within the same Jira. For example, the Java API is the interface used by the highly popular app Automation for Jira to generate, save, or email Excel files. I'll discuss that in details in just a second. Also, the Java API is used by another super popular Jira app you might know. It's called Script Runner. If you're not familiar with Script Runner, it can obviously run scripts within Jira, written in Groovy, the standard scripting language of the Jira virtual machine. These scripts add new workflow post functions, periodic jobs, and similar new features to Jira. And of course, the Java API can be used by any other Jira app. Our second API for the outside world is the REST API. If you're familiar with the concept of REST, this is an integration method that relies on the HTTP protocol, the standard protocol that powers the internet. In a nutshell, the REST API allows external systems to connect to Jira, request it to export an Excel file, then return that back to the caller over the internet in a standard and secure way. I'll have a few thoughts about that as well later. For most automation use cases, we recommend to use Automation for Jira. This is a very popular Jira app developed by our friends at Cobra. You should know that this app has both a free and a paid version, but both are supported by a Better Excel plugin. Automation for Jira allows implementing automation by defining so-called automation rules. Each automation rule contains a trigger, so when to start the rule, and one or more actions, which means what to do when executing the rule. To extend the available automation actions, we offer a free app intuitively called Excel Automation, which bridges automation for Jira and Better Excel plugin. So you need three apps: Automation for Jira to manage the automation rules, Better Excel plugin to generate the Excel files, and Excel Automation to connect these two. As I said, Excel Automation plugin is like a bridge app. It offers three new automation actions that you can add to automation rules. The first of those is send Excel action. This action allows you to send a generated Excel document via email. You can even set the recipient, the subject, or body of the email, and send those emails automatically. Another action we add is called Save Excel action, which saves the generated Excel on the server file system or to a network drive, like Google Drive or Dropbox. The third action we add is called Attach Excel, which lets you define a Jira issue to attach the exported Excel to as an attachment. So overall, Automation for Jira offers a friendly, straightforward interface to implement business automations in Jira. But if your use case needs an alternative to defining user-friendly automation rules, then you have the option of writing your own automation logic in Groovy scripts. Script Runner, a Jira app developed by Adaptabist, allows running these Groovy scripts as workflow post functions, services, periodic jobs, and in many other extension points. The advantages and disadvantages are really similar to the ones we mentioned at the templates. Scripts are flexible, but you need to write or at least manage code. The good news is that similarly to our templates, you can find complete working code examples in the Better Excel plugin section of the Script Runner documentation. You can just copy and paste these. So if you're comfortable with managing short, groovy snippets, or you require more flexibility than what the automation rules offer, we strongly suggest to check out Script Runner. As I promised, a couple of more thoughts needs to come about REST API. I'm gonna keep it really short because it's technical very much, but it really belongs to the full picture. First off, Better Excel plugin REST API extends the standard Jira REST API by adding further endpoints to that. It also means that you can freely combine Better Excel plugin REST calls with Jira REST calls. In its current form, Better Excel plugin offers two REST endpoints, as you can see here. The first endpoint is to generate a spreadsheet from issues. It renders an Excel spreadsheet from the result of a JQL query or a filter. The second is for menu items. It returns the export menu items with respect to the specified context. It really just that simple. You can use it for a million things, calling it from external systems, automation scripts, and so on. If you want to read more in this, please find everything in the documentation and in the API section of the documentation. Okay, and lastly, let's get to know the apps you can use Better Excel plugin with. We put great efforts into building our integrations. Obviously, it integrates with all the Jira additions like Jira Core, Jira Software, and Jira Service Desk. And for deployment options, it supports the Jira Server and the data center deployment as well. Furthermore, we build integrations with the most popular Jira apps. These apps complement our functionality really in a very logical and useful way. And we also build integrations with apps that were demanded by our customers. It means that with Better Excel plugin, you can export your inside assets, Zephyr tests, create tempo timesheet reports easily, just to really mention a few of them. And with that, I would like to thank you all for your attention. And I really encourage you to reach out to us with any questions or comments. You can use my email address that you see on the screen. And if you liked what you just heard, I also encourage you to give our other apps a try. Those cover slightly different aspects of productivity for business users as well as developers. For example, Better PDF Exporter is very similar to what you just heard, but instead of Excel files, it exports your Jira data to PDF documents. Archiving plugin is a content lifecycle management app for Confluence, mainly for large instances. It helps keeping Confluence content always up to date and streamlined. Commit Policy plugin helps developers be more productive and compliant. The app verifies commits against configurable rules, so the code change history is always consistent and easy to follow. And please, everyone, if you have questions, it's time to submit them. I also have a couple that we received before the webinar. So let's see if So the first question we received earlier was, is it possible to export more than 1,000 issues? Yeah, so Jira, as you probably know, has a default limit on the number of issues that can be exported in one go. This is to prevent overloading the server. This is configurable, so you can pull up the Jira config file and raise this limit so you don't have to comply with that. Then the second question was, is it available on cloud? The cloud version is on our roadmap. The app is available on server and data center. currently. The cloud version is yet to come. It's something that we will work on. Okay, yeah, it's a kind of a follow-on question I got via email. It says that data center deployment option seems not available on the marketplace. So yes, it's just a recent development from Atlassian. Atlassian recently announced a new and enhanced certificate program for data center compatible apps. It's called Data Center Approved Apps. It basically means that now, in order for apps to be available for data center customers directly, they now have to go through an Atlassian approval process and testing, and it doesn't rely on the vendor's assessment anymore. So even for apps that have a successful history with data center deployments, like Jira and Excel, that's the same thing. So as a result, the previously visible data center compatible flag disappeared from otherwise DC compatible apps as well, and now all these apps are subject to Atlassian scrutiny. But to answer the question, yes, you can use Jira and Excel with data center, as it has been compatible with it a long time. So it's just not reflected on the marketplace listing at the moment. Our support covers data center related issues as well. And in the meantime, we work with Atlassian, and the app is submitted to the approval process. So the official DC compatibility will be reflected on the marketplace listing soon. Someone in the chat asked that there's an option to directly create a bar chart from Jira sprint report. It's, as I showed in the example, it's absolutely possible to create a bar chart for a sprint. It's not possible to create directly, but since any kind of report is possible to build with Jira and Excel, your requirement will be definitely doable. I suggest to reach out to us in a support ticket with exactly the requirement that you need, and our support team will be able to direct you how you can export a report for a sprint that you need. There was another interesting one. I tried to follow the pattern of expressions used in your built-in templates, but I don't have success. So this can easily be because people tend to make up expressions. So recommend to use the reference manual that contains a lot of available expressions that you can use. If you are unsure about one, don't try to create one yourself. Open a ticket to our support engineers, and they will be able to direct you, put you in the right direction. The reference manual can be downloaded from our website, and it's in a PDF format, and it has all the expressions that you can use in your templates right away. Okay, everybody, and if that was all the questions, then I would like to thank you for your attention again. If anything comes to mind later, we're always here to answer. You can reach out to us via support portal or to me directly via email. Don't hesitate to do that. Thank you again for your attention, and see you on our next webinar.